Okay. That's
So I was kind of, moving on to more adult things. Like,
If you don't shut your whore mouth right now. I was like 14, 15, so I was moving on to more adult things. Shut the fuck up.
revenge. It's so sweet, so tasty. Today, we are going through a subreddit that I don't think we've done before, but you recommended it, bestie.
I've done, I think, like 2 stories from it.
Okay.
During,
they must have been on the Reddit roulette.
Reddit roulette, yeah.
Okay, awesome. But today, this video is 100% dedicated to r/pro revenge.
We're getting back at people, baby.
Yeah, well, we're not getting back at people personally because all we can do is just sit here and be in this room, but
I'm living vicariously through these stories.
Me as well. I'm so excited. I just love it when people just screw around and then they just find out in the worst way possible. And today, we're dedicating our time to those stories. So come along with us, everybody. Spicy Reddit stories. Let's get into it.
Woo!
And also, Hools, stay tuned, because at the very end of these main stories of Pro Revenge, we're going to be reading a Hool-Submitted story from one of you guys on the Daydream Arcade subreddit.
I'll go first.
Should I go? Okay.
Enough of you. Okay.
Okay.
My first story was posted by user Yazdon. Title is, "Don't announce your engagement at someone else's wedding, or this might just happen to you."
To me?
To you, specifically.
Oh, damn. Well, I am going to a wedding this week in Philadelphia, and I am not gonna do this, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind at the end.
Okay, good luck. Okay. Last summer, I was at a cousin's wedding. His bride and her family had been close with ours since before I was born, and the couple had known each other since they were toddlers. So it was a particularly exciting event for both sides of the family. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had just started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaid, who I'll call Sarah, and her equally is crazy. Equally. And her equally smug fiance. My cousin's wife, I'll call her Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. Shadow, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, Shadow, what the hell are you doing?
Stop.
Guys, we can see each other now, by the way. We said it in last week's podcast, but today is the first time we're doing a Spicy Reddit video where we can actually see each other.
No. Anyway.
What is she doing?
She's like scratching my dresser. I'm like, what's happening right now? What's in there?
She wants in.
Like, what the fuck?
She wants in the dresser. Pick her up and just put her in the dresser.
God. All right, reread that. My cousin's wife, I'll call her Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but she kept grinning and acted very happy for the other couple. This was unusual, as Emma is typically quite confrontational and speaks her mind no matter the consequences.
Oh, she's one of those types of people where she's just like, I just speak my mind freely. I'm a free-spirited person. I just speak whatever's on my mind. No, you're just an asshole.
Oh, I think she's just someone who just doesn't take no bullshit and just immediately wants to fix whatever's going on.
An asshole. No, I'm kidding.
Shut the fuck up. Okay.
No, but you know how there are those people that say that and they are an a-hole? The people that are like, I just speak whatever's on my mind. I have no filter. That's it. I have no filter or whatever like that.
Okay, yeah.
I keep
filter
things
makes more
real.
sense. Oh, God. I'm straight up. I'm straightforward.
I'm straight edge.
Ugh.
I'm straightforward, straight up, and straight edge.
Yummy. Consequences. Okay. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor. Okay, I'm sorry. The maid of honor. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. I wasn't there for it, but my cousin sent me some of the best bits on Snapchat and explained the whole situation. This is where the fun begins. Emma's two much younger sisters were the flower girls at Sarah's wedding. At the very last moment, Emma switched out the white petals in their baskets to blue ones she had secretly brought with her. She told her sisters not to say anything about it or let the bride see them until it was time to scatter them down the aisle. Sarah looked very confused upon seeing the blue petals, which didn't coordinate whatsoever with her theme. But of course, she didn't say anything about it in the moment. Most of Sarah's other bridesmaids were also Emma's friends, had attended Emma's wedding, and were in on Emma's scheme. At the reception, Emma's sisters and other bridesmaids were tight-lipped when Sarah began demanding to know why there were blue petals. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse for not checking the flower girls' baskets before they walked down the aisle. Finally, it was time for the speeches. The speeches took place in front of a massive screen, displaying a loop of photos with Sarah and her husband, which had been compiled by Emma. Emma took the remote that controlled the presentation screen, and at first, she showed some pre-approved humorous photos of Sarah with Emma and other friends to facilitate a couple lighthearted jokes. Then, at the very end, Emma said to Sarah that she must be wondering why there were blue petals instead of the white ones originally planned. That was when Emma displayed the last slide from her presentation. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant, and that she just discovered the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals. The last slide? Her ultrasound picture.
Oh!
There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly that I sincerely regret watching the Snapchat recordings with headphones.
I'm sorry, but I just imagine the progress from shocked yells and gasps to just cheering. Like, it started with someone going like, "Ah!" And then just like running.
God, like screams of terror. Jesus Christ.
That was my Scream Queen scream.
Oh my God. Apparently Sarah had been very nasty to her bridesmaids before, driving several of them away and forcing the others to pay ridiculous amounts of money for dresses. Emma and my cousin were eventually thrown out of the party, but they were all smiles. Sarah's fuming mother went to confront her outside, and Emma retorted with, "Gentle, gentle, I'm pregnant." Shut up.
I heard that. Did she just smack something?
I don't know what the fuck she's doing, dude. I reckon Sarah doesn't speak to the majority of those bridesmaids anymore. Wow.
Wow. What a bridezilla.
Yeah, that's kind of wild and kind of iconic to just announce your pregnancy. Like, she said, you want to announce your engagement? Let me one up you real fast.
Yeah, I'm going to announce your pregnancy.
What? Your pregnancy?
Wait, isn't that what she did? Oh, no, she one-upped her by doing her pregnancy. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. I just misunderstood.
Why would... I'm going to announce your pregnancy. Pardon?
Oh, no, guys. We can't go back from this. Oh, I can't go back. I can't go back.
That's crazy, bestie. Yeah. No. Definitely one-upped her in the revenge department. Sarah sounds insufferable. Especially when OP said that the wedding planner took a lot of the abuse from fucking Sarah after she was losing her mind over the fucking flowers.
The blue petals.
Yeah.
So I've never been a woman getting married, so I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe one day. But I think that if I was getting married, I know it's a very stressful day, but I feel like the least of my concern on the wedding day would be about flowers. And if I guess, I don't know, they got the color wrong. I don't know what color it was going to be, but
it was supposed to be white.
I find it odd that she was particularly like abusing like one of the wedding planners as like for the flowers.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
As if it was their fault.
Right.
Yeah, that's really silly. I hate wives, or the soon-to-be wives that like lose their minds in the day of the wedding. Like, I get it. It's an important day. Things need to go like well, but like I feel like
You have the rest of your life, like after that, you know.
I feel like it's a rite of passage that things don't go according to plan during weddings.
Right.
You know.
Right. It's like, you ever throw a party?
Exactly.
And have things go according to plan? No.
Literally any
wedding
event
is one gigantic party.
I'm saying it's the party.
It's the party of the century. What was that? Like, imagine I came up to you on the street and was like, "Oh, ladies, would you care to attend the party of the century?" It's just like, does this man have teeth?
No.
Like, what's going on?
He lost them in the war.
Yeah, I got shot in the face, but I survived. My teeth, however, they were the only casualties.
Casualties. Got him. Bitch. Yeah, fuck Sarah. I'm glad you announced your pregnancy at her wedding, because she seems like a bitch. And the fact that she kicked you out of her wedding is crazy, considering you announced your entire engagement at her wedding. But okay. Whatever. To each their own. I haven't gotten married yet. I don't know if I ever will.
Do you want to get married someday?
Maybe, maybe not. It's the thought of being like, I almost said the thought of being
I love how we
gay
went to
in front of people. Feels weird, but like, just
I mean, you're gay in front of people on the internet
all the time. I think just the thought
that sounded
of being,
weird.
Yes, I think just the thought of being vulnerable in front of people is
strange. But one could also argue that you have been incredibly vulnerable on this show. That is, that's shown fair to thousands of people a week.
But at least I can't see the people that are. I'm not looking at them, and I'm not getting live reactions, because then I can't. True.
Yeah, because you can just ignore a comment, but you can't ignore a person standing in front of you. No. I mean, sure you can, but...
I mean, you could, but it would be kind of weird.
This next one was posted by Johnny Provolone. Man, I would have loved it, because I've been watching a lot of The Sopranos lately. I would love it if there was a character in there named Johnny Provolone.
Johnny Provolone.
Yeah.
Johnny Provolone.
Hey, Johnny Provolone, you gotta go with Tony. You're gonna go with Tony today, and then you're gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, no, sorry. You're gonna go with Paulie, and you're gonna go with Puss, and you're gonna go pick up Chris, and then you're gonna go to the airport, and then you're gonna pick up lots and lots of gabagool at the airport, okay? The time I ruined my high school teacher's career and got her fired in the greatest way possible. The story is widely known amongst my family and is constantly brought up and joked upon in my group of friends, even years later. A buddy of mine suggested that this is the perfect place to make it public, so let's get into this shitstorm.
Let's get it.
Backstory. I was a senior in high school at the time, and I had never been the brightest student. I was a solid C student, and I had never received a detention or had any kind of bad student record. This is important because to this day, I still have no idea why the teacher treated me this way. The teacher, who we will name Mrs. Frank, had been a teacher there for more than a decade and was widely known for being a pretty heartless bitch who the administrators saw as the golden child. Mrs. Frank taught algebra, which is my worst subject, so naturally I had issues understanding the lessons and would ask questions frequently. I love how I said Miss Frank and then I went back. I'm like, nope, Mrs. Frank, even though this is a hypothetical name I've made up, To some, these questions are easily answered. Wait, did I say? To some, these questions are easily answered, but to me, it was rocket science. Usually, when someone asks a dumb question, no one should address it. However, in Mrs. Frank's case, she would belittle me in front of everyone by saying such things as, "And here comes the slow boy again. Wow, surprise, surprise. You don't understand it again." Really? "We have to go extra slow for you today, don't we?" Etc., etc. I tried going to the administration about it, but before... What? Your
balls just ascended when you said really. You said really.
Really? We're just spend the next 5 minutes seeing how high I can get saying really.
Really?
Really? I can't get higher at this point without yelling. God. I tried going to the administration about it, but oh, she's up there now.
Yep.
Hi, baby.
It's a baby.
She's like, you smell bad. I tried going to the administration about it before, but again, she was considered the golden child. They would send someone in to examine her during class. She would act respectful and normal for one day and go back to being a bitch the next. Yo, you ever have a teacher that was like being examined and it's like they do not act this way on a normal day?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm like,
just,
why are you lying right now? Like,
why are you? It's like, now, class, does anybody have any questions? Brianna raises her hand in the back of the class, and then they call on her, and she's like, yeah. So, how come you're acting all normal and nice today when every other day, whenever someone's not in here, you're acting like a stone cold bitch?
you tell us to kill ourselves daily, so why are you being nice right now?
Yeah, like what the hell? What the hell, Mrs. Crabtree?
Crabgrass.
Yeah, Mrs. Crabgrass.
Wasn't that a name in Ned's Declassified? Susie Crabgrass.
I don't know. I never saw Ned's Declassified. I know they have the podcast where they talk about how they all used to finger fuck each other, you know?
You are correct. But you've never seen Ned's Declassified, my brother?
No, Ned's Declassified was like kind of on my way out of Nickelodeon. You know what I mean? Like we had, like it was, I was kind of phasing out towards the end of iCarly, but also I didn't have cable. The only times that I was able to watch these types of shows like
That's
Disney
true.
Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon was when I was at a friend's house. And trust me, I spent a lot of
That's
time
true.
at friends' houses. But so I kind of feel like I had that like growing up with those shows, but when Ned's Declassified came out, I was probably like 14, 15 maybe.
Okay. That's
So I was
acceptable.
kind of, moving on to more adult things. Like,
If you don't shut your whore mouth right now. I was like 14, 15, so I was moving on to more adult things. Shut the fuck up.
Like,
Fuck up.
dude, back then, like, the only things that I watched were, like, Family Guy, American Dad, and wrestling. So, I'm really not one to talk. Adult. Grown sweaty men throwing each other around a square. Yeah. Adult things.
That's adult things.
Yeah.
I mean, with how WWE was back then, you were seeing titties and
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah. I mean, you still see titties and ass today. They
Well,
just
not
don't
as-
talk about it.
People are not flashing and being censored by a graphic.
Yeah, that's true. But that was the late 90s. I didn't watch wrestling then. I was too young. My parents would have never let that slide.
That's
Although,
fair. But
like,
didn't...
the early 2000s, there was still a lot of raunchiness.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd
Like,
say.
I vividly remember
there was
Triple
still a
H
lot of
telling a
sexualization.
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling a woman.
Telling a woman to flash her. Or flash him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was part of the night. Anyway, shutting up. This goes on for about half the year until I had enough. I went to the local Radio Shack, bought a recorder, and secretly recorded every insult she would throw at me. I would sometimes instigate to make up for the lost time. Could you imagine he kept those recordings, and at the bottom of this, there's a link to all those old recordings.
There's a
and we could
Google
listen to them?
Drive of his trauma.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Go ahead. Feed the fire. Fast forward to the end of the year, and I'm sitting in Mrs. Frank's class when I ask her a question. Her response, and I quote, because it's burned into my brain, was,
trauma.
I've been teaching here for over 10 years, and that was the single dumbest question I've ever heard come from anyone's mouth. She continued the lesson without answering. Damn. I was surprised. I was just like, that wasn't too bad. I was expecting like a racial slur thrown in there or something.
But even then, I don't think I would ever ask a question ever again in my life after that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, to be fair, I wouldn't either, because a lot of
I'd be
teachers
like,
that I have would say
oh,
there's no such thing as a dumb question. It's like,
yeah,
there's no such thing as a
yeah.
dumb question.
Even then, I
until
still wouldn't
you
ask.
opened your mouth. You stupid son of a gun. She continued the lesson without answering. I calmly stood up, packed my stuff, and headed to the nurse's office to dismiss myself from school. We were allowed to dismiss it ourselves if we were 18. I went home, compiled all of the brutal tapes into one glorious masterpiece, and headed back the next day to show the administrators. I sat down with the principal and we listened to a couple of the insults before he stopped me. He wanted more witnesses present, as well as Mrs. Frank. He told me he would meet the next day, where I could show him and the rest of the administrators the full tape. I walk into school the next morning, being the most nervous I've ever been for anything. I was called down to the principal, where I met with some of the board directors, the local police officer, the principal, the vice principal, and Mrs. Frank.
The local police officer. There's just one.
All right, make it quick.
I got other things to do.
So many things.
So fucking busy, guys.
He's like as red as a tomato because he's like, I can't believe I called in for this stupid fuck. What follows was some of the greatest minutes of my life. I watched as the administrators went from fed up with being in another useless meeting to furious and speechless, with some of them keeping their mouths open for the duration of the tape. I also watched Miss Frank go from confident and stuck up to her realizing that she had fucked up beyond repair.
Yep.
She was publicly roasting herself in front of the most important people from the district. The tape ended without hesitation. The administrators looked around in astonishment, and the principal turns to me and says, I think we have heard any... Oh my God.
I think we have heard anything.
Someone shoot me! The principal turns to me and says, I think we have heard everything we need to. Thank you. And I was quietly dismissed from the room. Out!
Get out!
The final time I saw Mrs. Frank was leaving the room. I looked back and we made eye contact through her tear-filled eyes as I gave the biggest, most evil smile.
As you should, honestly. Fuck Mrs. Frank, dude.
God. I returned to class the next week and Mrs. Frank was nowhere to be found. They fucking killed her.
They shot her out back.
Yeah, the one police officer in town. He's also
he's also the town executioner.
He wears many hats in this town. The story spread quickly throughout the school, and I was seen as a saint. I had successfully gotten her fired, and it almost made it impossible for Mrs. Frank to return to her teaching career, as well as cut off from the most of her connections she had with other teachers in the school. Oh my God. I had ruined her financially because no school district in the area would hire this walking piece of garbage. If you're reading this, Mrs. Frank, I'd like to take this moment to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yep. Go off.
God, all right, so there's a couple edits here. But what are your thoughts?
Fuck Mrs. Frank, to be honest, because
Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Edit 1. Should have cleared this up in the story. However, I did. Sorry, what were you gonna say? I was like, when I'm like, do you have any thoughts? Like, my only
Fuck
requirement on that checklist was Brianna says, fuck you, Mrs. Frank.
Yep.
Box is
Fuck
checked.
Mrs. Frank.
You gonna say anything?
Fuck Mrs. Frank.
You're wasting my time. No, I'm just kidding. Should have cleared this up in the story. However, I didn't want to go into much detail about the process. Yes, this was perfectly legal to do, and my parents and I did our research to make sure we weren't breaking any kind of law. In my state, you can record someone in their place of business without both parties' consent. Okay, so I'm pretty sure some people were probably like, you know, I'm sure people were wondering, like, is it legal in your state to record people without their permission? I'm sure in a lot of places you can't record people without their permission. Edit 2. Wow! Thank you for the gold kind, strangers.
Wow.
I believe this post became popular because almost everyone can relate to having a horrible teacher at one point in their life.
Yes.
I'm glad I could give some satisfaction to some of you who have had similar situations. Thank you all for the great feedback. Edit 3. I want to address I want to address some frequently asked questions. I regret sharing the dumbed down version because I left out the amount of shit I put my parents through during all of this. Tons of meetings and phone calls that would not have made the story a lot longer. And
What?
Oh no, sorry. That made no sense.
Come from?
Tons of meetings and phone calls that would have made the story a lot longer, and I didn't think anyone would enjoy reading it. 1, I do not have the tapes. It was in the administration's best interest to keep them in case she sued for false termination, and would have gotten out of hand if the tapes spread and gave a bad reputation towards the district. That's why you make a copy. Even if I kept the tapes, all this took place over 15 years ago, and there's no way in hell I would be able to find... Well, sorry, I accidentally minimized out, and I have no idea where it went.
He said, whoa.
Even if I kept the tapes, this all took place over 15 years ago, and there's no way in hell I would be able to find them. 2, yes, I took algebra as a senior because, again, I wasn't the greatest student to walk those halls, and throughout all my years of school, I had tutoring. I'm sorry I'm not a genius.
No, you're valid, King. I don't get algebra either.
I mean, think about it. If you had nothing going on up here, then you wouldn't have had the bright idea to record this bitch.
Yeah,
so,
you reversed.
Yeah.
Uno reversed her.
Yep. 3, I don't remember what question I asked that pushed me over the limit that day. Thank you for all the feedback, and I love reading each and everyone's stories that have had similar teachers and revenge.
Fuck shitty teachers, bro.
Yep.
You're in charge of fucking teaching the youth of America and worldwide. But why? Why do you abuse your power and make children feel bad about themselves when they're literally struggling to be a person? They're literally learning how to be a person.
Yeah.
There's no need.
And it sucks because, I mean, there's some kids that are just way out of control, and, you know, I think sometimes some teachers may come from places where... Because I remember one time in high school, I had a substitute. My best friend and I started like pretend fighting, and it was obviously a pretend fight. And it was at the end of class, and this guy, he explained himself like at the end. He shouts, he's just like, "No, no!" And then he just starts like running like towards us. And he had been a substitute teacher in a lot of inner city schools, and he saw a lot of shit. Oh, so shit. I think this dude was fucking traumatized.
He was like, "Oh my god, they're about to stab each other."
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Meanwhile, we were just like
goofing,
smacking each other, just goofing, being goofs.
Yeah,
you know,
that's weird.
But no, sometimes you just have teachers that just are not fit to.
Yeah. They're just insane.
Yeah, exactly. Top comment says, "Always keep your words soft and sweet, just in case you have to eat them." Quote by Andy Rooney. That's all I got.
Cool. Next. Okay. This next story was posted by user The Hofstetter. Title is, "A woman let her dog shit on the airport floor, so I shit on her plans."
Oh.
While walking to my gate at LAX, I noticed a woman whose dog was in the middle of doing its business. The woman was loudly FaceTiming with her back to the dog, so I assumed she didn't notice. That was likely the thought shared by the gentleman who tried to get her attention. "Excuse me, miss," he said in a polite tone. The woman glared at him. "Your dog?" he sheepishly continued, pointing to the mid-poop pup. The woman rolled her eyes and went back to FaceTime as the man slinked away, seemingly embarrassed. "Some people," she bellowed to her FaceTime companion with no hint of irony, "are just so damn rude."
Whoa.
Hold on, my cat is being fed.
Oh, I hear the clinking. Shadow, we're in the middle of a show here.
We're
trying to do a show. Get out of the shot. It's like the one time we don't want her in the shot.
When her dog finished, the woman started walking away, leaving everything right on the airport floor. Another woman tried to stop her. "You're not going to clean that up?" she asked, as shocked as the rest of us were. "They have people for that," the offender replied, disappearing into the crowd, as much as someone yelling into their phone can disappear into a crowd. I stood near the pile and warned people to walk around it while someone else got a maintenance worker's attention. No one said anything. We were so shocked that anyone could be that horrible. When I got to my gate, the woman was there too. Great. We were both going to Tokyo. When I travel abroad, I get embarrassed by other Americans doing things 100 times less embarrassing than leaving animal feces on the floor of an airport. To make it worse, her dog was now barking at everyone who walked by.
Jesus Christ. You know, I bet this woman is the type of woman this woman is the type of person. That was about to get really misogynistic there. But this woman is probably one of those people that stands in the wrong boarding group. You know, it's like they're now boarding group 1, but she's in boarding group 7.
Yeah.
But she's up in the front. It's like, we're all getting on the plane. I hate people that do this, that are in the wrong boarding group. The more they disrupt it, the
longer they're going to be.
Yeah, you fucking imbeciles.
Yeah, people are crazy.
If you're the type of person, if you're watching this right now and you're that type of person, fuck you personally. Fuck you personally.
Fuck you.
You don't deserve to live in society. And I bet that you also don't put your shopping cart back when you're done. That's another litmus test to prove that you are able to live in society.
Yep.
Anyway.
I gave my shopping cart to a worker yesterday because I saw him out and I didn't want to make him walk all the way to my car. So I was like, here you go, sir.
You are the salt of the earth.
Thanks.
Ow, my knee.
Okay. I have nothing against people flying with their dogs. I do it often. But it is a privilege I take seriously. My dog is well trained and behaves better than most people. He certainly behaves better than that asshole. Speaking of assholes, there's a pet relief area outside LAX. Past security, just 2 gates away from where the party pooper let her dog go to town. It didn't matter. She was the type of person to litter 3 feet from an empty garbage can. While her dog barked at the world, the woman had moved from FaceTiming with no headphones to listening to music with no headphones. I don't like to throw around the word sociopath, but I don't know how else I could explain just how selfish and terrible of a person she was. I'd bet her car was somewhere in long-term parking, parked across 3 spots with paint on the bumper from the child's bike she hit without leaving a note.
My God. You ever see someone throw something out in a garbage can and it completely misses and it's like liquid and it spills all over the ground?
Yep.
If I walked past that in an airport, like, listen, some people might think that this is wrong. I would stop, turn around, and calmly tell them, hey, pick that up. And if they kept walking, I would scream at them to pick it up. Like, I fucking hate people like that. I absolutely fucking hate people. I don't give a shit. Like, if I'm with people, I might not say something. But if I'm on my own, I am definitely going to embarrass the shit out of them because I don't have to worry about embarrassing people that are with me.
That's fair. I just think people are insane now that anyone gets angry. Like, there's been so many, like, road rage fucking murders and shit that I'm just like, you know what, man? It's not worth it. I'm not going to risk my life. People are just insane.
Yeah, that's true. One day my instincts are going to get me killed.
Yeah.
I've accepted it. You know, one day I'm going to call out the wrong person and they're going to fucking shoot me in the face.
Sick. Have
no
fun
more
with
Daydream
that.
Arcade. I will.
Rip. Everyone else tried to ignore her, sitting as far away from her as they could. I am not everyone else. I sat down right next to the horrible woman. Are you going to London on business? I said. I'm going to Tokyo, she responded gruffly, annoyed that I interrupted her DJing. Oh, I said. Then you better hurry. That flight got moved to gate 53C. This is the flight to London. I figured I could give her a little moment of panic as payback for how terribly she was treating everyone. I didn't predict what would happen next. She grabbed her bags and her dog in a huff and stormed out of the gate without even checking. She was so self-involved, she didn't notice that the monitor at our gate still said Tokyo and almost everyone at the gate was Japanese. Based on her actions, she believed that the flight had been moved. So she's also an asshole for not thanking me. Some people, I thought, as I watched her rush away from the gate without stopping her, are just so damn rude. The flight to Tokyo was at gate 69A, so the 53 gates were on the other side of the next terminal. And I felt guilty knowing she probably berated some poor clerk who had to explain to her that there was no gate 53C. I don't know if she made it back to this flight before we took off or not, but I didn't see her board, and I don't hear her dog. Her missing her flight was not my original intention, but it would be a fine punishment for her being so rude to everyone and making a low-paid stranger clean feces off the floor. What makes me wonder if I went too far is the knowledge that Delta only has one flight to Tokyo each day. Whoops.
Oh.
Maybe she can rebook on another airline. I hear they have people for that.
Oh.
Go
Oh, but I can't help.
off.
Yes, go off, but I also can't help but feel bad for whoever had to deal with the actual outcome of that worked at the airport and had to deal with that woman's wrath. Or maybe she did get on the plane and we just don't know.
Maybe. She probably missed it because she's a dumbass.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I just feel bad for whoever had to deal with that afterwards.
I know. I feel bad for whoever that worker is. And probably the fucking other people on the flight having to deal, because I doubt she was quiet about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, whoever, like, if she ended up getting another flight, whoever she ended up getting on that plane with, I bet she was bitching to everybody in line.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not supposed to be here with any of you, but...
Some stupid bitch lied to me. God. Alright, I don't really care about the comments. Your turn.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the edits?
That didn't really add anything. It was just kind of like proof that this happened.
Oh.
Don't poop in airports on the floor. And don't let your dog do that. That's wild.
Yeah. If anything, you should be the one pooping on the floor.
Absolutely, because there's no bathrooms there.
Yeah, no bathrooms in airports. So
no,
you gotta either go before you arrive or go on the airport terminal.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, actually.
As everyone is walking towards the plane, just stop and squat.
Yeah. Find the emptiest hallway or corridor where you know there's going to be people coming by. Shit on the floor.
Yeah.
Stand a ways back so that you don't have to smell it or whatever, and you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then just watch the crowd of people just walk through and just watch.
And watch people spread it.
Or one of those airport terminal like golf cart things come by, like go drive over it, and then they spread it across the
just a line.
Yep.
That's wild. Yummy.
Yeah. Anyway, next. My next post was posted by Great Spot 00. Downstairs neighbors wouldn't turn down music. Nuked them from orbit. Was suggested to cross-post from r/malicious compliance.
Malicious.
I was inspired by a recent post to tell my own bad neighbor story. Can't think of a better place to post it. Flashback to 2014 or so. Damn.
It's 10 years ago.
I moved out on my own. That is 10 years ago. That was when I graduated from high school. I feel so fucking old at this point.
Wow.
It's wild. I moved out on my own in 2013 and moved into an old house, converted it into a 2-floor apartment directly across from my future in-laws. The downstairs neighbors were loud, blaring music at all hours. Yes, all of the hours.
Every single one.
One? Yep. 4?
Yeah.
Yup. 5?
Yeah.
Especially yup. Wouldn't cut the grass or take out the trash on our shared schedule. As I get older, I can't connect things with SH if the next word starts with S, because then I start going like shay. You know what I mean? Crappy neighbors, but never bothered me directly. The guy was pretty chill when sober and would turn the music down a little when I texted him. He was okay until his girlfriend moved in. Now, add shouting matches to the mix. And all of a sudden, my request to turn down the music makes him turn it up. I can barely walk on my super thin floor without her banging on the ceiling with a broom. How do you say it? All of a sudden or all of the sudden?
All of a sudden.
Thank you. Yeah. You may have dropped out of high school, but you know grammar.
so much.
You're welcome.
I try.
I love. Hey, I am here to lift up my friends. I am not here to tear them down.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's gonna be a fucking TikTok clip.
That was good. That was good.
I was okay since I'm a heavy sleeper and could sleep through anything. My wife moved in, and I quickly found out that she is quite the opposite. Fan on, turned at a certain angle in the doorway of the bathroom. Door closed halfway, blackout curtains were then taped to the wall so zero light comes through. Zero sounds other than the fan. You get the idea. I told her that we can't expect them to remain silent when she's ready for bed. We need to be reasonable, but the wall rattling music needs to stop during the night. Did you just check your phone?
Checked my watch. Was it vibrated? I said, huh?
I was just like, I don't actually give a shit, but I was just like, man, I gotta be more conscious about like what I do when like I'm not the one reading. You know? It's like I listen, but sometimes I multitask and I can't do that now. Yeah, go back to the first story. I clearly listen.
I listen, guys.
She hated it during the day, but I told her there's nothing we can do then, so I'm just going to reread the paragraph.
Okay.
I told her that we can't expect them to remain silent when she's ready for bed. We need to be reasonable, but the wall rattling music needs to stop during the night. She hated it during the day, but I told her there's nothing we could do then, so she would go to her parents' house a lot during the day. I talked to neighbor guy. He said, yeah, man, that's cool. But it turns out the girlfriend wasn't having it, and his attitude then changed to, yeah, well, it's our house, so you can go fuck yourself if you think you can tell us what to do, and you can move out if you don't like it.
Damn.
Something definitely had to change once she was pregnant, and then the baby came. So I did the only thing I could do. I fought fire with fire, and maliciously complied with the law to the T. I love malicious compliance.
Same.
I could only report them for noise after 11 p.m. I now forget the morning hour when the noise could start, but I believe it was 9 a.m. My dad has these huge old concert speakers in his garage. Professional grade, black leather bound, 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and has a pretty nice vintage stereo/amp. He has two, but my apartment was so small, I sadly only had room for one. We replaced our coffee table with this thing, laid face down into our thin office carpet. Tired of this is wild, dude. It's gonna just be all bass, just rattling the ceiling. Tired of his crap tunes, I tested this Geneva Convention breaking device when they weren't all. I swear to God, our neighbors are pissing us off so bad. I'm gonna do things that are gonna violate the goddamn Geneva Convention. Like that's how far this has gone. Holy cow. I had to take everything down from tables, counters, and shelves because they would shake off. I prepared audio files to feed the stereo. I was giddy like a kid with a new Christmas toy. I turned it on when I left for work and got my wife up to send to her parents. I came home from work and hung out at her parents until it was close to bedtime. They resisted for 3 days. On day 2, I found a pile of manure on my doorstep. But it didn't faze me. I cycled between sine, saw, square waves, and clashing chords. Marching music, Washington Post march on loop. Preaching clips. They weren't just atheists, but outspoken anti-Christian, so it was a must. The most stupid songs you could think of. Captain Planet theme song, Chicken Dance, etc. Anything from Fortnite. This poor old house rattled in ways I didn't think possible. The vibrations from the sine wave would make your vision blur. I eventually got a text from him that read, sorry, man, you can stop now. I did not. He needed a few more days to let it sink in. Plus, I had so much fun putting it together. They complained to the police and the landlord. There was nothing they could do since I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't even hear music during the time of peace to follow. It was so quiet. They would build up their courage and try again every few weeks when I wasn't home, but my wife was. I then showed her how to tame the beast so she could let it loose while I was away. I had to give them a spanking every now and then, but they learned. They were so happy when we moved out.
Oh my God, dude.
Dude, that's wild. I love that.
That's hilarious. And fuck your neighbors.
Yeah. Dude,
See, it sounded like they had a good understanding, and then both of their significant others moved in, and then it was just war.
But yeah, no, I might be that guy. Now,
You just hear your neighbors starting to vlog shit just to, like, outdo you. Be louder.
They start their own YouTube channels. Have you ever had? Well, I mean, you have events that go across that go on in like the park across from your apartment, right?
Yeah, and the other building that I lived in, I had an upstairs neighbor who just sounded like they were moving furniture, stomping, running across the fucking apartment like at all hours of the fucking night, like even at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And they were just insufferable.
Yeah. My uncle who lives upstairs, he has a cat and has like this rubber ball that it likes to play with, and he'll throw it, and from downstairs where I'm at, it sounds like someone's knocking on my door.
Oh shit.
So
You're like,
now,
who's there?
anytime it happens, I just assume that he's playing with the cat because I'm like, nobody knocks on my door. People text me or call me and tell me that they're there.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I first moved in and realized that I had a doorbell.
You have a doorbell.
I do have a doorbell apparently.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Look at you.
It's one of those wireless ones where you press the button and then it just connects to the inside. It just has to be plugged in. I took that shit out of the wall.
You said I don't need this bullshit.
Yeah. Mostly because like the next door neighbor's kids at the time were constantly running up and down the street ringing everybody's doorbells.
God.
So that was really the only time. But yeah, no, dude, fuck those neighbors. Like, I mean, they went to the police and everything, but it's just like, man, if you can't, dish it out, and if you're gonna dish it out, you might as well be able to take it. Is what I meant to say.
I was waiting for you to get it. I was like, yeah. He's got it.
Me
He's
too, dude. Me too. Me too.
Okay, so for this last story, I'm going to be reading one of the stories that was submitted to our subreddit. It was submitted by Violet Decay. Thank you so much for finding this and submitting it and thinking
Violet.
It'd be fun for us to read. Woo, 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 woo. Thank you. All right. So this was originally posted on Relationship Advice, posted by throwra_flash. My 36 female husband, 52 male, asked me to flash some road workers. I did, and then he got mad and pushed me out of the car next to them. How do we move on from this? Yikes! So probably a little trigger warning for this sounds like he's gonna be aggressive. So any kind of like abuse, if that makes you uncomfortable to hear, maybe don't listen to this one. Been together 10 years, married for 6. The last 2 or 3 years, he started to show less and less interest in me. He does subscribe to a couple of OnlyFans accounts, which I'm not bothered about as it's no different to porn, so I know he still has sexual urges. I've tried talking to him a couple of times about this and told him I'm getting bored and frustrated, and he knows I'm willing to try anything sexual, so if there's anything he wants to do to get him motivated, I'll try it. He just says, duly noted, and carries on with his day, which is frustrating.
Wow.
A few nights ago, he had friends around for tea, and we got on the subject of commutes and roadworks, with them saying how their commute has more than doubled due to a road they use having roadworks. Carol, the wife of the couple, then says, we found a way to make it more entertaining though, haven't we? To her husband, and they both started laughing. She then tells us that the roadworks are about 3 miles long, with the groups of workers spread out to maybe 7 or 8 groups, and they are normally going 10 to 15 miles per hour. So when they get near one of the groups, he beeps and she flashes them, and they all cheer. I couldn't believe it, as they seemed so straight-laced. That night when they left, my husband was saying how brave it is of them and that we should do it the next morning. I asked if he's sure. This is a man who didn't like when I posted a bikini pic on Facebook. And he said yes, and we even had sex that night for the first time in months, and he initiated for the first time in years. The next morning we were both out to work, and as soon as he woke up, he mentioned me flashing. I asked if he's sure, and it wasn't just horny talk, and what if the men don't want to be flashed? He said he's sure, and all men want to be flashed. We drive to the road, and we see a group of workmen, and my husband gets all giddy and says, "Are you ready?" I say yes, and he says, "Now," and beeps his horn, and I lift my top up, and they all cheer. We are going about 10 miles per hour when suddenly he slams his brake on and tells me to get out. I was in shock. His face is red with anger and he's shouting, "Get out, you fucking slag."
Oh my god.
I start crying and he...
Oh, sorry. I was about to say, this fucking bastard set her up.
No, deadass. This is probably a quote-unquote test. I start crying and he's leaning over me, opening my car door, and then takes off my seatbelt and starts pushing me out. The cars behind are beeping as he stopped traffic and he's yelling at the top of his voice. By now, the workers have heard the commotion and 2 of them are rushing over to help. I turn to look at them, and as I do, he pushes me really hard and the top half of my body falls out of the car and I put my hands down. One of the workers is screaming at my husband and starts trying to open his door. The other worker is by me and quickly drags me out of the car. He told me afterwards he saw my husband put the car in gear and thought he was going to drive off with me hanging out the car. My husband just left me. I was still only wearing a vest top and pajama shorts and my slippers, and he'd wanted to rush out and do this. My phone was in his car and I didn't have any house keys. One of the workers took his jacket off and wrapped me up in that. They took me to a cabin that was there, a canteen, and put the heater on and made me a cup of tea. I was so embarrassed. This lot had seen my boobs and then seen me getting abused and then fell out of a car and then rescued me all in the space of 30 seconds. I kept apologizing to them and said it was his idea, but they said it's okay and it happens a few times a day and they are used to it. But I think they were just trying to make me feel better. They were laughing and joking with me and were all so sweet and funny. They asked if I wanted to ring anyone, but I don't know anyone's number apart from work, and I didn't want them picking me up wearing next to nothing from a building site. I asked if I could just ring a taxi, but they said I can't get in a taxi dressed how I am. The man, I'm assuming was their team leader, told one of them to drive me wherever I wanted to go, so I asked if I could go to my mom's about 5 miles away. They gave me some spare work boots to walk across the mud to the van, and 2 of them drove me to my mom's, and they were really sweet in making sure I was okay and even walked me to the front door. When my mom answered, I was hysterical and crying, and they told her me and my husband had an argument and he left me by the side of the road. My mom offered them a drink and I tried to give them their coat and boots back, but they said it's okay. I told my mom we were driving to McDonald's and got in an argument. I didn't tell her about the pushing or anything. She drove me home and let me in with a spare key she has. I packed some things and went back to my mom's. My husband had been home as my phone was on the table. In the 5 days since, he's been ringing me nonstop saying he's sorry and he doesn't know what came over him. He said he heard someone shout, "Nice pair," and it made him angry.
Continue.
My friends are saying leave. His are obviously telling me to give him another chance. I'm 50-50, but if I do stay, I'm going to insist on couples counseling for us both and sex therapy, either for him or both of us. He says he doesn't want to involve other people in the relationship. It feels so silly to throw it all away over a few seconds of madness, and I should have just said no when he asked me to flash, as I know he's quite insecure. I was blinded by finally getting some sex and attention from him and thought I could get more. I took the workers their jacket and boots back and also made them 2 cakes, and I bought them 1,000 bags of Yorkshire tea as a thank you.
Wow. So this motherfucker just hypes her up, is like being more attentive to her, having more sex with her, and then has this idea like, hey, you know what would be fun? If you go buy the same amount, those same workers, flash your things, flash your headlights at them, and then, you know, it fucking sets her up and gets physical with her.
This guy's the epitome of a fucking coward, loser.
He's the epitome of a fuck. He's a fuck. That's what this man is. I don't know if...
She should not be with this man, because he clearly does not give a fuck about her.
No, he doesn't. I mean, this isn't gaslighting. This is just straight up abuse. Like like tricking her into thinking that. It's just, what the fuck, man? I was gonna say, so he gaslit her, but no, it's not gaslighting. It's like he just fucking.
Well, gaslighting is a part of abuse, so I would.
Well, yeah, but like, what's the technical term for gaslighting? Like saying one thing but actually meaning another.
Lying.
Or misleading.
Yeah. Yeah.
But isn't gaslighting like a different form of lying, technically?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's all under the same umbrella, but isn't gaslighting like a more extreme version of lying?
Yeah, because you're basically trying to make the other person feel crazy about something that did
Yes,
happen.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
But in this case, he's just being abusive.
This guy's just a fucking horrible person. There is a small little update I'm going to read. Update. I took people's advice on this sub and a couple of others and rang the police to report the attack. I spoke to the workers beforehand who said they'd back me up. They arrested my husband and then released him on bail, but told him he couldn't stay at my house, so he's gone to his mom's. After the argument, he told all our friends that I had cheated. I hadn't wanted to admit to people that I had flashed, but I felt like the tide was really turning against me, and a lot of people were believing his lies, so I wrote a long message with a description of exactly what happened, plus pictures of my injuries, including scrapes and bruises, plus screenshots of messages he'd sent, admitting he asked me to flash and admitting he hit me, although he did blame me, saying if I just got out like he asked, he wouldn't have had to do that. A few people apologized, most didn't, but I don't care anymore. I'm back home, and he has to answer bail in a couple of months. The police don't sound confident that they can get a conviction, but maybe that's how they're supposed to sound. I've spoke a little bit to a lawyer, but I can't really afford anything at the minute in that way. Been a sad few weeks, but an eye-opener, and I don't feel any guilt for getting the police involved or telling people what happened. Just working and keeping myself busy at the moment. And I did see in a comment that, yeah, so they are getting a divorce, which bless up, because fuck this guy. He is a
100%.
literal piece of shit and just trying to make himself look good with everybody around her that is like textbook fucking abuser. Just lying to literally everybody. And I'm hoping that once they do get a divorce, like they can just be separate. She won't have to fucking deal with him. But unfortunately, knowing the common patterns of abusers, they're gonna try to fucking affect the other person or just be a fuck to the other person as much as they can.
Yeah.
Because that brings them joy, and it's disgusting.
And they know that they'll probably end up feeding into it as well. So it's kind of like, they're like, I can get them back. Just watch.
Yeah.
This time next month.
Literally disgusting.
That's so gross.
And I hope nothing but the best for OP. And I hope she gets away from this situation. And I hope she's safe.
I hope that eventually she finds herself a man, a partner, a
real
husband
man
that will gladly, take her by construction workers and have her flash them and see them cheer, just so that, they can, just see how much joy it gives them to just do some weird off the handle shit like that, And like, granted, that's not for everybody. That's not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. I totally get it. But it's like at the same time, who's she going home with at the end of the night?
Yeah, like,
you in the
don't
car,
be so fucking
or those
insecure.
construction workers? Yeah.
If you can't handle dating a baddie, don't date a baddie.
Yeah, that goes for men and women and they thems. If you can't date a baddie, no matter who you are, just get out of the way.
Just get out of the way and have someone else who can actually handle it. Get in there.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Get on in there.
Get in there. Like tag team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed those stories, those revenge stories, and then a little surprise little relationship advice story. If you guys are interested in binging all of these stories that we do have and all the previous spicy Reddit stories that we already did, there's going to be a playlist linked at the end of the video. You can just click on that, or if you want to just go to our channel, click on playlists. It's going to be right there.
Yeah. You can find us on social media down in the description. All of our links are there. Follow us on social media. Spread the news of the Daydream Arcade. Follow us. Have some new friends in our followings and such. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?